Welcome back to the Barrel Talk Podcast. We are back with another episode. This is our second mock draft of the year. First one we had Cole on. This one's just going to be me breaking down with a sim to lottery because we got some more draft implications last night with Portland making the playoffs officially. Chicago Bulls now have 2 first-round picks in this year's draft. So looking at that, I think it's super interesting to see where this goes in Chicago. And I want to come out with another mock post-March Madness before the official playoffs have started. By the time I'm recording this, the Clippers-Warriors game is tonight, as well as the 76ers-Orlando Magic game is tonight as well. So we got both of those games to look forward to tonight. We got cinema last night, the first day of the play-in. I like the play-in. Me personally, I think it could use some tweaking, but I think it's more entertaining basketball at this time of the year rather than us just kind of having a week off and then getting into the playoffs. So looking at that, I think it's super beneficial for the NBA. But I did want to come out with a second mock because Chicago Bulls having 2 first rounders now. I think it's super interesting to where things could end up. But we're going to do another sim lottery because I kind of like the endless possibilities that this can have. We've seen some crazy things happen in the lottery the past couple of years with Dallas winning the lottery and then Atlanta also winning the lottery in the past couple seasons. So nothing really is out of the world of possibility with how crazy the lottery can get. So I think doing another simmed one, because it is going to be set in stone in May, I think it is super interesting to see the possibilities. We're going to start out with a sim right here and see where we end up with. And looking at this, the Pacers keep their pick. The Bulls move up to 3, Brooklyn at 2, Sacramento, who is probably due to win the lottery, is up, and they jump up and win the lottery in this one. This is a really good sim right here. A lot of possibilities in this one. So we can use this one, and then we're just going to do a first round, and we're going to hop right into it with the Sacramento Kings. So, Sacramento, I want to make a separate video or maybe just like a TikTok or something about some of these teams and some of their future and like what that holds for the Sacramento Kings. I think they are a team to where if they don't land one of the top 4 of Peterson, Boozer, Demaza, and Caleb Wilson, I think it could get little interesting of what guard fits them the best because they still have Devin Carter, like Malik Monk, like things get interesting because I have no idea whatsoever what this roster is going to look like next season. But if they were to win the lottery, I think they would go AJ Demaza just because I think he is a safe bet. And say they are in a weird role. I'm not saying like you should not take Darren Peterson because you have Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan or Malik Monk. Not saying that at all. But I do think if you're going to take this all down to the studs as a team, I think starting out with AJ Demaza is a really good player to build around at the wing. 6'8", 6'9", can play the 3 or the 4 or even the 2 if you need him to. I just think it's an easier path of building around a wing like him compared to a guard like Peterson, especially in Sacramento, because you do have a Keegan Murray, Sabonis, who I think is still a really good player in this league, who I am fine keeping on this team after this season. But I think Demaza is such a good place to start for Sacramento in a rebuilding phase. And I think him and what they could pair him up with what they have on the roster in a Devin Carter, Nick Clifford, Keegan Murray, a lot of older prospects over there. But I do think Demaza is, I would say, a better building block piece than Peterson, in my opinion. You want to talk about who has the higher ceilings and everything else like that, I'm talking about team building because Sacramento does have the first overall pick in this sim. I just think Sacramento would lean Demaza in this situation. Now, Brooklyn Nets. This is a very interesting one. I'm high on the Brooklyn Nets future because they're a clean slate team. It doesn't seem like they're overly committed to anybody on this team, which can benefit the organization because you can make moves thinking more strategic than with your heart in terms of some players that you say the GM drafted or this or that or the third. I think they're in a really good direction. Igor Demon, I'm kind of high on. I think he can be a very useful, versatile player. And he doesn't, whoever you draft, say Brooklyn drafted one of the guards and fell out of the top 4, whoever they draft, I think Igor is going to be able to fit just fine. I'm interested to see what they do with Nicholas Claxton, Michael Porter Jr. going forward. But with Jordy Fernandez and the Brooklyn Nets, they struck out on 5 first rounders, in my opinion. Ben Seraph is okay. Drake Powell is okay. Traore's okay, had his moments, but I think their main guy who they drafted the highest is Igor Demon, and then they can kind of use this draft to kind of start to put the pieces together a little bit and kind of see what they can do in free agency, see if they can get some restricted guys, because money's tight in the NBA. So I want to see what the Brooklyn Nets can do with draft capital plus financial flexibility in terms of what trades that they could pull off. But in terms of who they would select right here, I think they would go Darren Peterson, him with Fernandez, and then you have Igor Demin. You're looking at a pretty solid backcourt foundation right there. And he could come in and be a really good go-to guy right away. I hope they kind of keep Michael Porter Jr. because I never like teams that have so little. I think that's what the Washington Wizards have had for the past couple of years. Now they have Trae Young, Anthony Davis, but they're drafting a lot of these young guys with like zero vets on the roster at times, and zero just guys that can be go-to guys right away. So it doesn't put so much pressure on the rookie. And I think having somebody like Michael Porter Jr., who has shown he could do that, pairing him up with a Darren Peterson, you have Igor Demin, say you kept Nick Claxton, like you're starting to put the pieces together a little bit there, and then what you could do in free agency. I think Peterson to the Brooklyn Nets would be a really, really good fit for the future because he could be the franchise guy in a bigger market right away. Chicago, jumping up to the 3rd overall pick. They can go a number of different ways. You have Matas. You have Noah Essengate, who you drafted last year. For Chicago, the only thing I have to say, because you have the 15th overall pick from Portland as well, and 2 seconds. The only thing I'll say is don't take somebody so raw. Like if they take Nate Ahmet, I'm gonna be kind of annoyed for the Chicago Bulls because I think you just drafted such a project in Noah Essengate last year to where new owner, new GM, and everything, whoever is going to be calling the shots for the Chicago Bulls, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what direction they want to go in. If they're going to be pretty aggressive this offseason and try to really turn the corner, say they ended up with a top 3 pick and then you have 2 first-round picks for who's ever calling the shots over there in Chicago, I think it is super, super interesting. I'm going to go with the safe bet and Cameron Boozer. I think he's one of the most safe guys we've seen in a very long time. I think the floor of him is at least somebody in your rotation that is going to be a really good scorer in the low post and a very good rebounder right away. And you're pairing him up with who knows who the new coach's situation is going to be in Chicago as well. But I think Matas and Cameron Boozer and whoever we draft at 15 is going to be a very, very good start. And pairing somebody like Cam Boozer up with Josh Giddey, I really like. So I think that Chicago taking a safe bet and Cam Boozer, I think, is a very good shot for them at 3. Pacers, they end up keeping their pick in this sim. Outside of the top 4 goes to the Clippers. They're in an interesting spot because anytime I've seen different mocks of the Pacers, it has them usually ending up with like Peterson. But I like the idea of Caleb Wilson. I really like the idea of Caleb Wilson over any of the guards because when you're looking at the Indiana Pacers, just to kind of show their roster real quick, you got to think you still have Nembhard, who can be a secondary ball handler. You still have Tyrese Haliburton coming off of injury next year. You have TJ McConnell already as well. So you have 3 really good guards with the ball in their hands. And then you have Zubac, Pascal. Going to be an interesting fit to see because his Zubac style of play might not fit what the Pacers want to do compared to Miles Turner, but who knows? The future will see. But I think getting somebody of Caleb Wilson's caliber, Pascal Siakam isn't the youngest player in the world, but I don't think he's losing a step by any means. I think getting kind of that pseudo replacement that can just come in with this fast-paced style that the Indiana Pacers play behind a Nesmith, behind a Siakam, or if you want to start him right away, I don't mind that either. But I think Caleb Wilson defensively, I think would give this Pacers team a little bit more juice on that end of the floor. So I think that is a really good pick for them there at 4. Washington. This is another team, like who knows what this roster looks like? Who knows what they're going to do with Trae Young? Will Anthony Davis be traded in the offseason? Who knows what they're going to do? But looking at their team, I still think they go guard here because who knows what their future is with Trae Young. I think they have a really good wing depth. Like Sarr, I like Keyshawn George. I think Trey Johnson is going to eventually be a stud in this league. Will Riley showing you some stuff at the back end of the year. Like they have some pieces they're building, but I think they're still a couple pieces away. Interested to see what they do with these 2 guys right here in AD and Trae Young before I jump the gun on saying how good the Washington Wizards could possibly be next year. But I think they're in an interesting world where they could keep Trae Young, which I am all for. Getting somebody else who can kind of play behind him but also play with him, I think would be super interesting for this team. I'm looking at Keaton Wagner, but I'm sitting here, I'm like, would 5 be too high because you don't know about the athletic upside of somebody like Keaton Wagner as well at the NBA level? But it's also like, does he kind of fit too much into the Bub Carrington, Trey Johnson, kind of role. I don't know, of being kind of like an off-ball guy, but he can handle, create for himself a little bit. So I'm kind of in the middle on where I want to go with this one. Kingston Fleming's probably the best defender out of this bunch of guards for sure. And this one, I'm going to go Kingston Flemings. I usually lean towards somebody like Keaton Wagner, but I'm going to go Kingston Flemings because I like the defensive upside he has. And if Trae Young's here for like another year, he opts in, does a little 1 year prove it deal and try to get another big time bag next offseason. I like Kingston Flemings being able to come off the bench behind a Trae Young and kind of give you something a little bit opposite of Trae Young, more defense, more explosion at the rim. I think Kingston Flemings would be a really good pick here to kind of put with this Washington Wizards young core. Now, Utah, another interesting spot. I kind of like them getting this pick right here. I know you want the Boozer, Debanza, Peterson, obviously. But this is not a bad pick for them whatsoever because they already have a ton of wings on this team. You have Lauri Markkanen traded for Triple J, Walker Kessler, Ace Bailey, who you drafted last year. Like, they have a lot going on already. I really like these two guards right here, and Keontae George and Isaiah Collier. I think they stole Isaiah Collier in the draft that year as well. But they have a lot going on. I think Utah is a very sneaky good team next year. To where I'm interested to see where they would go because you can obviously move Keontae George to the 2 because he can definitely play off ball and be more of a scoring mindset. So I really like them going one of the guards here. Darius Acuff is interesting, but do I like that defensively with Keontae George and Darius Acuff? You have the front line to really make that work. But this is a spot where I'm going to go Keaton Wagner. I think he would fit perfectly with what they're building and being able to play off ball to Keontae George and Isaiah Collier, but also play with the ball in his hands. I think he's a perfect combo guard for what they're building over there in Utah. And I just think he is a better fit than somebody like a Mikael Brown because I think Keaton Wagner plays better without the basketball. And I think there's going to be times in this team and in this offense where Lauri Markkanen is playing point forward, or you have Keontae George having a really good night. He has the ball in his hands more, and I think Keaton Wagner is a perfect piece to kind of flow and put in this offense right away. Now, Memphis. Memphis is another interesting one with 2 first-round picks in this year's draft, coming up at 16 from Orlando with the Desmond Bane trade. They're another team with some question marks. What are they doing with Ja Morant? Who knows? We're going to have to get to the offseason to see because they're another team that's kind of like in a clean slate. I think they have a couple different ways to net a couple more first-round picks on this team. I think Ty Jerome to the right team and the right trade could net you possibly a late first, but they need to get some center depth. They kind of need a little bit of everything. Kind of seen some bunch of different things from like guys like Jalen Wells. I think Walter Clayton Jr. definitely has a spot in this league. Who knows what they're going to do with Ty Jerome? Cam Spencer's had his interesting moments this year as well. But I think Cedric Howard is the guy that they're looking to pair up somebody with. And I'm interested to see where they go. A lot of guards here. I think it's kind of a layup to take the Ja Morant replacement right here with Darius Acuff and put him on this team with a bunch of long, rangy wings. You have Zach Edey anchoring the defense, and you have another first-round pick to add somebody else in this draft as well. So I think Darius Acuff here at 8 would be a really good Ja Morant replacement. I think he fits that Memphis style as well and what they're building over there. I like Darius Acuff to Memphis right there at 8. So now looking at the Atlanta Hawks. Interesting team. I'm going to make a video breaking down Knicks Hawks in that series as well. They're another team that has for 2 first-round picks. So they're at 8. What do they need? Because what does the future hold for this team? What if they beat the Knicks and go into the second round? What does that look like? I like them adding to the front court a little bit. Who knows what they're going to do with Jonathan Kuminga going forward? I think Dyson Daniels, and I think CJ McCollum is somebody I would like for them to bring back another year as well after this season. I really like that guard rotation. Wouldn't be mad at them getting another guard in there, though. I'm going to go with Mikael Brown Jr. because I think when I'm looking at the Hawks, I think and Dyson Daniels, yes, they can be creative with the ball in their hands, but I think a true point guard like a Mikael Brown playing off of a Jalen Johnson, he has the size and what they're building over there at Atlanta with these long, tall, rangy wings and point guards. I think Mikael Brown Jr. would be a home run pick for the Atlanta Hawks, and he could be that point guard of the future and then move Dyson Daniels more off ball, which I think he's more comfortable with. And then Nickeil Alexander-Walker. This would be a really good guard rotation out east, and I think Mikael Brown would be a really good pick here for the Atlanta Hawks at 8. Number 9, Dallas. Another interesting one because I'm saying every team's interesting because that's just what it is. Kyrie Irving, Who knows what they're going to do with him if he's going to get moved. They're kind of at a clean slate where like they're just building around Cooper Flagg, another team that has the 30th overall pick from OKC in this draft as well. They are another team that could tear down a little bit more because you could definitely see Daniel Gafford netting you something. You could definitely see Najee Marshall having impact in a trade or something like that. PJ Washington, somebody they just extended. So like I'm interested to see where they go with this team. And where they go in the draft is very interesting to me because I'm looking at the 30th overall pick, and in the back of the draft, there's a lot more, I would say, wings that they could possibly throw on this team. I don't think they would go and take the swing on somebody like Nate Ament. I think that's too much of a project for them. Interesting with the Dallas Mavericks. I wonder where they're going to go in the draft. Go a number of different ways. You could go guard, even if you bring back Kyrie Irving. But I kind of like them adding a 2 because I think they're going to move off Klay Thompson this offseason. I'm going to go Braden Burries, a do-it-all guard. I think he could play really well off Kyrie and Cooper Flagg. You have another first-round pick in this year's draft as well. But I think Braden Burries to this team can really be a good combo guard, and you're pairing him up with Max Christie. I really like that rotation right there because I think they bring not so much the same thing, but if you have a good shooting guard rotation of Braden Burries, Max Christie, both provide you shooting, both provide you somebody that can handle the ball when needed to, both provide you defense. I really like that shooting guard rotation when you're building around somebody like Cooper Flagg. So I like Braden Burries here. And even if you bring back Kyrie Irving, I really think that fit works there. Milwaukee Bucks, probably the most important picks for these next two teams coming up, important draft picks that they've been involved in some time. Milwaukee has not been the best drafting team in the past couple seasons. I'm going to go on a limb and say they're keeping Giannis. That's just, until it happens, I'm just going to assume he's just going to be on this team. They're in an interesting spot because I can see them going forward. Say they move up Kyle Kuzma this offseason if they can find a way to make that happen. Yaxel Lendenborg is somebody that can step in right away and be that other big-time wing right away who can guard, play multiple positions, be able to play with Giannis, Miles Turner. He would be a really good fit in Milwaukee. But I also see a world where LeBaron Philon is this pick as well. Ryan Rollins can play the 1 or the 2. And I think they could definitely use a little bit more just pure shot creation outside of Giannis on this team. You get that with Ryan Rollins. And I think LeBaron Philon would be a really good pick here. Somebody that can be a microwave scorer for you, that can play on the court next to a Ryan Rollins. They can kind of take turns playing the point guard role. And I think LeBaron Philon is the scorer that they desperately need on the perimeter. I understand the XL and the size and everything else like that, but I also see a world where you bring back Kuzma. And I just think LeBaron Philon can give them something offensively that they desperately need on the perimeter. Now you're looking at him and Ryan Rollins, who can create their own shot. Who knows what they're going to do with Kevin Porter Jr. But I like LeBaron Philon here to the Bucks at 10. Golden State, who knows what's going to happen for them in the play-in tonight by the time I'm recording this. The Moses Moody pick or injury is super interesting for what this team is going to do next season because he's become such a big part of that rotation. Their team where I'm looking at them for Braden Burries, I think he's a really good fit on this team as well. But I think they just need some more front court help. Who knows what they're going to do with Kristaps? Draymond Green is getting older, and they are looking to compete right away right now. That's kind of been the notion over there in Golden State. So I'm going to go Yaxel Lendenborg. I did the same pick in my other mock. I just think it makes too much sense for the Warriors to get somebody like Yaxel Lendenborg in the building. But I also see a world where it's kind of flipped. The Bucks and Warriors picking back-to-back in a scenario is like super interesting because it's two important picks for the team and what they're going to do going forward, to where I can see a world where Yaxel goes to the Bucks and then the Warriors end up with LeBaron Philon. I think both picks are really good for both teams for both reasons. I think Yaxel could be a really good fit next to Giannis, and I think LeBaron Philon can be another true perimeter scorer outside of Steph Curry on this team. So I think Yaxel or LeBaron Philon will be kind of the picks, in my opinion, for the Bucks and the Warriors on draft night. OKC, number of different ways that they could go. They have a ton of guards. I think they are adding some size, some true size right here. But they also have the 18th overall pick. I'm going to go, I think somebody's going to take the shot on developing somebody like Nate Ament. And since OKC has another first in this year's draft, I'm going to go ahead and take Nate Ament at 12 right here. Gives them a jumbo wing that can develop in OKC. Somebody that can space the floor, play a lot of defense. The potential is high and the ceiling is high for somebody like Nate Ament. And I think OKC will be a perfect spot for him to go in there and develop. Miami just lost in the play-in. to the Charlotte Hornets. Reports are coming out and saying that they're making a big time swing for somebody this offseason. Who knows what Tyler Hero's future holds? I don't think they're going to bring back Norman Powell. I think Andrew Wiggins is a really good fit with this team, but who knows what his future has. I don't think they go guard here. I love Davion Mitchell's fit with this team. They just drafted Kasparas Akachonis. I think they can go in a couple different directions. I wouldn't mind them adding a little bit more center depth and getting a little bit more size in there as well, because outside Kel'el Ware and Bam Adebayo is kind of thin. Wouldn't be mad at them. Maybe adding a power forward, because you don't know anything really about Jovic and how he's going to fully pan out. I mean, Jaquez, I think, is just a perfect rotational player for this team. Even if they brought back and keep Andrew Wiggins, I like that fit for them as well. Pele Larson has been really, really good this year. So I'm looking at this team of like what direction that they could realistically go here in the first round. I like Dalen Swain. He kind of fits Miami to a T. Looking at somebody like Cameron Carr as well, somebody who can be another wing that has more offensive upside than somebody like Thomas Haug, Koa Pete. See Jane Quintance, but I'm like, just the question marks with him. Miami could take a swing on him because defensively, him and Bam Adebayo with Kel'el Ware, they can have a lot of defense over there with Jane Quintance. And I'm going to go on a limb and say I think Miami is a really good team at kind of finding diamonds in the rough and free agency. Thinking guys like Haywood Highsmith that can come in and play just a role on the team off the bench. And I think that they can kind of address some of their wings, depending on who they trade for, however you want to buy into the big swing that they're going to take this offseason in terms of a trade. I'm going to go with them taking Jaden Quintance and taking kind of the upside that he has as a defender. And you're kind of looking at a really good front court of Bam, Quintance, Kel'el Ware can space the floor. I kind of like that. I really like the defensive potential that they can have with somebody like Jane Quintance. So just giving them a little bit more front court depth, I think he'd be a really good fit in Miami, and that's a really good spot for him to develop. Charlotte, 2 first-rounders this year. Who knows? They could make the playoffs officially, so this pick could go outside the lottery as we're wrapping up the lottery here. Charlotte, when I'm looking at Charlotte, I was talking to my guy Cole last night about it. When I'm looking at them, there's times where they almost shot themselves out of the game last night, especially when Miami put the zone on them. They, I think, need somebody else that can put some pressure on the rim and another rangy, switchable wing. And I think this guy is going to go in the lottery on draft night. I think Dalen Swain, and you put him alongside all the shooting, all the spacing, somebody that is NBA ready coming in right away. I think Charlotte's a perfect place for him. I was also looking at somebody like Koa Pete, but when me and Cole were talking, he brought up a really good point of how Miles Bridges is kind of that guy that can put pressure on the rim at the forward spot and he can space. So it's like with how Charlotte is playing and Charles Lee coaching, Koa Pete and kind of the lack of spacing could be a question mark for him on this team. And you can say the same thing about Dalen Swain. It's not the most consistent 3-ball in the world, but I think having a 6'8" switchable defending wing that can just get downhill with all this shooting, having him play off of Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple, I just think Dalen Swain is such a good player coming out of this year's draft. And I think he's the biggest sleeper of somebody that can go into the lottery this year. Now, Chicago Bulls, second pick in the first round. Cam Boozer was the 3rd overall pick that we took. I kind of like them going with some more size. I think Cam Boozer is a true 4 at the NBA level, and Matas at the 3. I think they desperately need to add somebody at the 5 to build around long term. This is where I go with Dame Morrow. This is exactly where I go with Dame Morrow. Somebody that can play with Cam Boozer alongside Matas Buzelis. Somebody who's really risen his stock in the tournament, especially in that Final Four. I think them just adding some true size at the 5 would definitely help this team. 7'3", great rim protector, great hands. You put him alongside in the pick and roll. Now you're looking at a pick and roll combo of Josh Giddey, Ade Mara, Cam Boozer. I like that fit. And then you have Matas on top of all of that. So I think they hit 2 good home run picks and kind of more NBA ready guys in Cam Boozer and Ade Mara. I think Chicago would be going in a really good direction with that because they have a lot of guards that they could keep on this team. And I think with Josh Giddey at the helm, you can find a shooting guard in a trade or free agency or something like that. So I like them getting that front court together this draft cycle. Now, second pick for Memphis, you went Darius Acuff there with your first pick in the first round. They're another team I can see adding some size for sure. I think it's a little thin outside of Zach Edey. It's just where do they go? I am going Chris Nack. I think when you're looking at his tape with Houston, I think he really thrives off being more of a 4. and being able to play weak side, block shots. He can space the floor. I think Memphis would be a really good spot for him to develop alongside Zach Edey and being able to space the floor. They could have a really good paint protecting duo with Kristanak being his size, 6'10", 6'11", being able to space, have him on the weak side with Zach Edey. I think it would be a really good fit for Kristanak. And they just also add some really high upside pieces in this year's draft with Acuff, Kristanak, you have Zach Edey, you have Cedric Howard, you have Jalen Wells, you have G.G. Jackson. They have a lot going on over there in Memphis and a lot of draft capital to work with as well, to where if they do move Ja Morant, you can also bring in some more draft capital on that as well. And I think Darius Acuff and Kristanak will be 2 home run picks for Memphis this year. Charlotte taking Dalen Swain in their first pick. They can go a number of different ways. I've seen a lot of mocks also having them going center as well. I wouldn't hate it, because outside Diabate and Kalkbrenner, it's kind of thin there as well. I wouldn't mind them adding somebody else in that world as well. Just who it would be. Interesting. Because I can see them going a number of different ways. Do you want to add maybe another 2 guard? Because you have Khan, you have Brandon Miller. Who knows where you're going to get from Liam McNeely going forward. James is a good rotational piece. Kobe White is turning into a phenomenal pickup at the deadline for them. Do they go another guard, another shooter in this offense? This is a team where I could see taking a shot on somebody like Braylon Mullins if he does come out of the draft. I think he ends up staying, me personally, but I think this would be one of the best spots for him, is just in how they play, how they move without the ball, how their offense is. But I think I'm going to have them going, this is kind of tough. This is a really tough spot. I have them going Dalen Swain, a wing here. Let me just get somebody, he can kind of develop here. He might not fit their style of play a whole ton, but who knows what the future of Miles Bridges holds, and somebody that can just put a lot more pressure on the rim and give them a little bit more athleticism and pop in that front court. Give me Koa Pete. Take the shot on him here at 17. I know he's another guy that could be a candidate to stay at Arizona for another year, and you question the shooting and the spacing ability. But with all the shooting that they do have on this team, having Koa Pete in that dunker spot, kind of playing that Aaron Gordon-esque role, I think would be a good thing for Charlotte, to kind of just add another guy, interior presence on that team. Because they're just kind of too much of a live and die by the 3 kind of team. I think Koa Pete can give them a little bit more balance in that offense. OKC, with their second pick in the first round, when Nate Ament took the project to play there, I think this is a home run pick. Heinz Steinbach out of Washington. You don't know what the future of Isaiah Hartenstein is. I think, because me and Cole did back and forth picks, so I think this is the one we still went with in Hans. I just think he's a really good fit. Kind of fits that Hartenstein mold. Great rebounder. Might not be the craziest rim protector in the world, but you have Chet Holmgren, who's an all-world defender. He's probably the best all-around rebounder in this class, and he's got skill. And you see how Hartenstein and how they use the dribble handoffs and the screens and how he can make the right play in the short roll. I think Hans can do that as well. And I think he's a really good pick right away for the OKC Thunder, depending on what they do with Isaiah Hartenstein, because they also have Thomas Sorber in the wins as well. San Antonio, team that is now playing the Portland Trailblazers in the first round of the playoffs. They can go a number of different ways. I love Morris Johnson here. Because I think they could use a little bit more pop and athleticism in that front court. You have Luke Cornett, you have Wemby, and you have that plethora of guards as well, so you don't need to go a guard here. I know I have some of the guards sliding here, but I think Morris Johnson and his energy and his pop in the front court could be a really good thing next to Victor Wembanyama. Toronto, interesting offseason of how their season could end. Just extended Jakob Poeltl. Brandon Ingram, number 1 option. I think him and Scotty Barnes will work together. I love Colin Murray-Boyles because he's a Swiss Army knife defender that can play the 4 or the 5. I just don't know what they're going to do with Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett. I love Jamal Shedd's fit on this team. They could use a little bit more offense, but they could also use more of a true point guard. And I'm looking at Christian Anderson or Bennett Sturts for this role, but I think Christian Anderson is too Emmanuel Quickley-esque, and I don't know if they would be able to find a trade suitor for somebody like Emmanuel Quickley. I'm going to go the true point guard route because I think with his style of play in the half court, Bennett Sturts can be a really good fit here in Toronto. And I think he's done a lot for his draft stock, taking Iowa to the Elite 8. Older prospect, ready to play right away. I think he would fit perfectly in this style of play with Toronto, so I'm going to go Bennett Sturts. Detroit Pistons go a number of different ways here, but I like them adding a guard. I like them adding another shot creator off the bench. Liked what you've seen from Dennis Jenkins, but he can also play the 2. Who knows what their shooting guard rotations are going to look like next season? Give me Christian Anderson. I think Christian Anderson could be a really, really good shot creator off the bench for this team going forward. Now, Atlanta, you took Mikael Brown Jr., got a home run pick there. They can go some more size. I like Double O here because he's somebody that can play on the perimeter, move his feet really well on the defensive side of the ball. I can see them adding some more size in Patrick Gumba right here. I don't really see a whole lot of wings I like with this team because I'm still interested to see what they do with Risha Shea and Jonathan Kuminga going forward. So I don't really like Thomas Howe or Cameron Carr here, especially when you just took Mikael Brown in the first overall pick and in this first round pick. Give me Patrick Gumba right here to add them some more center depth outside of Double O. 76ers, who even knows if they're going to make a draft selection here? Traded Jared McCain away, I think is one of the dumbest trades for no reason that they had to do. Who knows how Paul George is going to look? He has looked better off the suspension. Joel Embiid just can't catch a break. I think that they're in a position to where they could just go best available, in my opinion. Don't really need a guard because you have Maxey and Edgecombe, and I think if they do add a backup guard to kind of replace Jared McCain, it will be in free agency. They are another team where I could just see taking another ready guy to kind of flow into this rotation. I really like Amari Allen and his defensive upside, being able to be a 3-and-D piece on this team. So I'm going to go Amari Allen. I think he fits perfectly with what they're got going on over there in Philly, and just adding another 3-and-D wing, you can never go wrong with that in the draft. Now looking at the Knicks, interesting spot because they can go a number of different ways as well. I like Deuce McBride, Jalen Brunson at your point guard spot. They're kind of shooting guard spots, kind of whatever, but you have Hart, OG, Kel. I can see them maybe adding a little bit more something on the interior. But I could also see them adding a wing. I like Joshua Jefferson a lot here, just because I think they're also in the realm of like, we're competing now. If we're going to draft somebody, we want him to be a part of our rotation in the first round. I think Joshua Jefferson is a guy that can step in, do a lot of different things for this New York Knicks team, and give them just a little bit more wing depth and higher quality wing depth. So I like Joshua Jefferson here. Lakers, another interesting team because who knows what they're doing with LeBron James. You have Luka, AR going forward. They need more athleticism. They just need more athleticism. And I think when you have Luka and Austin Reeves at the helm, who knows what's going on with LeBron James, they need some more pop. They need some more athletic ability around this team. I can see them. I don't see them going center here because I don't really like anything for them in the center tier right now in the draft. You have Luka and AR. You don't really desperately need to go get a guard. You can go address that in free agency. They need a wing so bad on this team. It's between Cam Carr and Isaiah Evans, but I think Isaiah Evans would be a better fit, better 3-and-D fit on this team right away compared to a Cam Carr. And now Denver on the clock. This is where I got Cameron Carr going. I think getting somebody with his offensive upside and his offensive ceiling, yeah, he might have slid a little bit in this mock, but the Baylor Bears also weren't really that good this year as well, which could have a big impact on it. But the offensive ceiling of somebody like Cam Carr, who knows what's happening with Peyton Watson if you're going to be able to retain him after the season. I like Cam Carr being able to kind of go in and play off Jokic and Jamal Murray. I think he has so much offensive upside in this class. Boston go a number of different ways here because they're kind of playing with house money in this draft. I feel like they've been drafting really, really well. Hugo's turning out to be a really good pick for them. I don't know what they're doing with their center rotation. I think Boston would be a team, if anything. I like Luka Garza's fit in the system. I think of them as Keita. Who knows what they're doing with Vucevic? He could just be off this team in a year. I do intrigue them going maybe a guard here to back up Peyton Pritchard. I think Tyler Taylor would be a fun pick, but I think he's going to end up staying at Vanderbilt. Tandre Yesufu, who's somebody who's also coming out, could be an interesting fit. He might not fit what Boston wants to do, but I think off the bench he gives them some more balance because I think Boston, yes, have a ton of shooting off the bench, but they don't really have anybody getting downhill a ton outside of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. And I think Tandre Yesufu could be a really good fit here. And I thought Thomas Howe too because I think he is somebody that could fit here as well. Just a long, rangy, switchable wing. But I'm like, have Jordan Walsh, have Hugo Gonzalez kind of for that in that role already. Braylon Mullins is here if you just wanted to add some more shooting. But I'm not going to draft Braylon Mullins in this draft because I'm pretty confident he's going to end up staying. He's a tough one to kind of mock anywhere because he kind of had a rough end to the year. Yes, he hit some big time shots, but I think he ends up staying at UConn. I think he would benefit a lot. And now just getting to the back end of the first round, I'm not going to take Braylon Mullins, even though he can kind of fall to a couple of different teams that we drafted for, but I'm so confident in him staying. I think him staying just makes a lot of sense. So I'm interested to see where they go here. I think Terrace Reed would be an interesting pick for them because another NBA ready guy who doesn't really fit that spacing, but could just give them some depth at the center position. Dame Star, somebody I think is going to be a riser after the combine and everything. This Caravan really fits with what they want to do in that forward and just getting another high IQ player in the building for Boston. I don't mind. I kind of want to go outside the box here. I'm going to go outside the box here. Give me Alex Caravan to sneak his way into the back end of the first round. I think he fits perfectly with what they're doing in Boston and kind of the style of play. Give me Alex Caravan at the back end of the first round, 27 to Boston. I think he's a great high IQ player that is going to be in the league for a long time. He's somebody that can shoot, has size, high IQ. Those guys last a long time in the league. Give me Alex Caravan to Boston. I think that would be a really good fit. Him or Joshua Jefferson, I really like to Boston. Now, Minnesota, another team playing the Denver Nuggets, tough draw. Bones Highlands turned it around. Ayo Dosunmu's been a great draft pick or a great trade at the deadline. Him and the Kobe White trade, I think, are going to be the star additions from this year's deadline in terms of playoff impact. Dante DiVincenzo still there. Terrence Shannon Jr. has really been getting more into the rotation. Juwan Behringer, who they drafted, he's kind of more on the younger project side of things. I don't mind them going another wing here because I think that position for them is kind of Jaden McDaniels and kind of they brought in Kyle Anderson, who I really like. I think he's just a smart ass basketball player. It really fits what the Timberwolves want to do. Thomas Haug is here, really like that. Or do you take the high upside swing in Dame Star? Because his defense could really fit over here in Minnesota. It's just the offense that you worry about. You can kind of say the same thing about Thomas Haug in a way. Oh, would they take the high upside swing? I think the ceiling is higher with Dame Star, somebody who could also stay at Duke. But I'm going to go Thomas Haug. I think he would be a more safe NBA ready pick for this team who is competing to win a championship. So I think Thomas Haug here at the back end of the first round, you could say fell a little bit, kind of went out sour to Iowa in the tournament. But I think good value here for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Just getting another wing in the rotation, I think, is a really good thing. Somebody who can really defend and switch multiple positions. Now, Cleveland Cavaliers, they're kind of stacked everywhere. Harden, Schroeder, kind of goes into that Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu deadline additions with Schroeder and Keon Ellis. I really like that. Strus coming back off injury. I would like to see them add a wing here for sure. Or if you're going to go with the backup big route and kind of just get a solidified backup for Jared Allen and Mobley, I don't mind that either. I don't see Kareem Lopez. I think a lot of teams aren't going to be in love with the project play that Kareem Lopez is this year. And it's kind of hard for me because I'm not really tapped into the overseas side of the draft yet. I want to get more tape and more film because he's the only guy that's really buzzing to be in the first round is Kareem Lopez. So I'm not going to take him here because the Cavs, I don't think would go a project guy. I think they'd go another wing or a backup five. I think a backup five would be safe for them here. They're another team that could take the swing on Dame Sar, but he even in itself is more of a project play. And I think they would go in a different direction. Somebody else who I think had a really, really good tournament that could sneak his way. I like Terrace Reed here just because I think Thomas Bryant has a backup five, is a little bit questionable. And I think they can just add some more front court depth with somebody like Terrace Reed, somebody who's a really good rebounder, somebody who's actually a really, really good passer in this offense as well. His fit and his style from UConn to the Cavs is going to be different, but he's somebody that can, I think, be a backup center right away, and I think that's so valuable for the Cavs. And now, to wrap up this mock, 30th overall pick, the Dallas Mavericks picked Braden Burries with the 9th overall pick. This is where I think they would take the swing if he does come out of the draft on somebody like Dame Sar, because I picked a shooting guard and Braden Burries, have Max Christie. No, give me Tandre Yesufu. Give me Tandre Yesufu because he is somebody that has a knack for just scoring and getting buckets. And I think having somebody like him and Braden Burries out of this draft class building around Cooper Flagg, I really like. Give me Tandre Yesufu to wrap up this mock, and this is the mock right here on the screen. Couple of interesting picks. I think Quatans is going to be an interesting polarizing kind of pick because of he can go really anywhere with the injury history as well. I think the Bulls get out of this draft really nicely with Ade Amara and Cameron Boozer. Sacramento wins the lottery, gets AJ DeBanza to build around him. I think Caleb Wilson's a really good fit over there in Indiana. I think Keaton Wagner's a really good fit in Utah as well. Darius Acuff might be my favorite fit is Memphis for him because they have a clean slate and I like what they're building over there. Leaving the draft with Acuff and Chris Nack, I think is really good value. And then I think the run here of Amari Allen, Joshua Jefferson, Isaiah Evans, Cameron Carr, really good run right here for all four of these teams, and the Sixers, Knicks, Lakers, Denver. I think all those players could play right away for those teams. I think Alex Karaban, kind of just like really good fit kind of pick right there. Thomas House, really good value at the back end of the first round for Minnesota. And Terrence Reed to the Cavs might be more of a second round pick, but I think he does have value in terms of what the Cavs could add through the draft. But this is my second mock of this cycle. I'm gonna have another one probably. I want to wait to do like a big time like mock draft with trades one until we have the lottery officially set. So I'm gonna hold off on doing a video like that. Might do another mock draft with Cole. That would be our third one. So looking at this, I am really happy with how this mock turned out. But let me know down in the comments what you guys would change, what picks you guys think would be different from my mock to yours. But thank you guys for tuning into the Barrel Talk podcast. Hope to see you tune in to future episodes.